Thank you so much, Chief Justice McLaughlin, for your instructive lecture on the Canadian experience. And we are so impressed by your exposition before us on the rule of law as applied to liberty and prosperity. And we are much more impressed by your reminders that jurists should be educators, that they should be models by abiding with the rule of law. And with respect to liberty, it is the duty of the jurist to see to it that liberty is safeguarded. And prosperity, we are also so much impressed by your statements that whatever jurists, whatever we do, we must do for the good of the country. We are also very much impressed again when you said that the courts should maintain their courage in independence, especially if there is a change in government, and that people must be satisfied by the decision or the results of the decisions of the jurists. At any rate, we will be dissecting more her message during the open forum. Our second speaker hails from Santander, Spain. He had been educated in several prestigious schools like the University of Madrid for his philosophy and law degree, and Universities of Geneva and Europe Institute, among others. For his postgraduate studies, he is the founder and senior partner of Gomez, Acebo, and Pombo, a leading Spanish independent firm which has more than 200 lawyers. In February 2005, he received the Great Cross of Merit for his achievements in the legal profession. He is currently the elected president of the International Bar Association. He will hold the presidency for 2 years, starting January 2007. Notably, for the first time in 59 years of existence, the International Bar Association will have a Spanish lawyer for each president, and that is very outstanding and unique. Friends, let us all welcome the President of the International Bar Association, Senor Fernando Pombo, Esquire.
Thank you very much, Justice Sandoval Gutierrez. It's a real honor to be here today in this spectacular initiative that Chief Justice Panganiban has been pushing for, which in my view is one of the best organized events I have seen in years, and for such a purpose. It is a great honor to represent the International Bar Association here. The IBA is an organization of bar associations and of individual lawyers. It was started in New York in 1947. During the first year of my presidency, we will be celebrating the 60th anniversary. And that 60th anniversary will have an event where thousands of lawyers from all over the world will gather in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, just 1 year from today, in October 2007. 60 years during which the IBA has been fighting for the law, for the lawyers, for the judicial system. This combination of members representing the profession nationally, the bars. For instance, the American Bar Association is our American representative. The bars with the issues about the profession, the access to the profession, the ethical rules, the way lawyers practice, the education of the lawyers, and so on. The individual lawyers dealing with the issues that are of concern for them, which mainly go to practicing law in their own jurisdictions or internationally, and include as well extremely specialized committees. This combination of bars and individual lawyers is producing a unique organization. The IBA, as the global voice of the legal profession, is involved with anything which matters for lawyers and for the society. And therefore, to be here today discussing liberty and prosperity couldn't be a better use of my time. My predecessor in the presidency, Francis Neat from England, established a year ago the Rule of Law Initiative as a priority for the IBA to fight for it, with the main extremely relevant collaboration of the present president of the American Bar Association, Karen Mathis, with whom I am already strongly collaborating. We are pursuing the Rule of Law Initiative in a way that we think will matter. I was impressed hearing Chief Justice McLaughlin such a brilliant comment and description of the efforts that a country like Canada, leading in the world together with a few others in its efforts for the rule of law and for helping the judiciary and the system of law being applied fairly worldwide. I was impressed how efforts of that kind may be so well led by Chief Justices of the world, but the Chief Justice of Canada. The IBA, together with the American Bar Association, recognized last August in Hawaii Justice Kennedy and the former Chief Justice of the Philippines, Hilario Davide, with the award for outstanding achievements on the rule of law. Asia, as the center of that attention, was the subject for the award and for the speeches of both Justice Kennedy and former Chief Justice Hilario Davide. And that enters completely into our scope of preoccupation. How can we, the lawyers, help this movement, this momentum that the world is having on the rule of law? We think in many ways what we are doing at the International Bar Association goes in many directions. First, more than 10 years ago, we started the Institute of Human Rights, and a body which puts together all the efforts of lawyers and judges and professors of law to implement the principles of human rights. Principles of human rights that will soon have 55 years of existence since the Declaration of the United Nations. Principles of human rights which certainly include and are part of our movement on the rule of law. But where else do we concentrate our efforts? We think that having the leading lawyers of the world individually gathering through the IBA and all the bars of the world together in events like the one we had in Chicago last month of September, where particularly through the leadership of Karen Mathis, together with the IBA, we discussed where are we on human rights, where are we on the rule of law, and what next? Because it's important to understand what the rule of law means, but it's even more important to see what could we do to help that rule of law to really work. And we discuss main aspects of the rule of law today. We certainly started by describing human rights violations taking part all over the places. We certainly discussed the tragedy of terrorism, which is affecting today all or most of our countries, not to mention the United States, but also, of course, my own country, Spain, that in March 11, 2004, had a tragedy of a train attack by fundamentalist terrorists who killed 200 people and injured close to 2,000 people just in half an hour of that terrorist attack. Violations related to human trafficking and slavery, which we are seeing today. It is estimated by some that around 700,000 individuals are the object of slavery today in the world. Today, not 200 years ago, today. Issues about religion, the law, coexistence, tolerance. What can religions do and what are they doing for the coexistence of people, for moderation, for dialogue, for tolerance? We discussed in Chicago that religions basically are for tolerance, are for moderation, are for peace. And therefore some interpretations of religion today generating the tragical effects of terrorism are very, very serious concerns for the world. But we, Christians, myself Catholic, Muslims, Jews and Hindus and so many other religions in the world have been coexisting for centuries and centuries without using our religions as an element of violence. Why is it not happening today? So what else is the IBA doing? We are putting emphasis on education. Justice Kennedy mentioned this morning that teaching. We have to insist on teaching. We have to educate, in our own case, the IBA, the lawyers. Of course, our universities, our post-graduation studies educate the lawyers in the technical aspects of the profession, and hopefully as well a lot in the ethics of the profession. But we have to educate the lawyers in human rights. We have to educate the lawyers on anti-corruption. When in 2003, in the city of Mérida in Mexico, the United Nations Assembly approved the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. For the first time in history, a worldwide convention finally there being approved in Mexico in December, in Mérida, the city of Mérida. We, the IBA, were there. And we were there to say, listen, corruption has the participation of many. Our part, the lawyers participating in the corruption, let's fight for that not to happen again. Let's try lawyers understand that the part in the production of corrupt practices at all levels, with government officials, with judges, and so on, has to be stopped. Let's have lawyers and bar associations insisting in educating their members for not helping corruption to take place. Obviously, that education and corruption is not limited to the lawyers, but the lawyers are our main focus. We have to educate judges against corruption. We have to particularly educate clients of lawyers against corruption. Businesses being involved with corruption no corruption will take place unless businesses will be prepared to pay for a corrupt result. And unless we stop businesses from thinking that to be involved with corruption is good business, we will not resolve the problem. So educating our clients, educating businesses of stopping their practices of corruption. Obviously, in Singapore in 2007, we will also be dealing with these questions. Matters that have been discussed here today, I had taken due note, Chief Justice, so that we follow next year, exactly 1 year from now in Singapore, with many of your themes, which are worth further discussion and working from now to next year this time in Singapore, so that we hopefully are better off in 1 year from now than today, and that this anti-corruption battle and this war against illegal practices and this war on implementing the rule of law is certainly war won by the legal profession through education of all, through establishing the principles of helping others, fighting the weaknesses of economic scandals and abuses. From the IBA, this is my salutation to you all, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity which was given to me today. Thank you.